Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well today. Today's episode of the DGS Health and Fitness podcast, we caught up with former professional football player Mark Tinkler. Mark started his career at Leeds United, starting in the youth setup there, before spending around 4 years in the first team, making 25 league appearances over the 4 years, before having a 2 year spell at York City, a 1 year at Southend, before returning to the northeast with Harlepool, spending 7 years there, heading to Scotland with Livingston, spending a season there before having a little whistle-stop tour of the Northern League with Whitby Town, Shildon, Eschwin, finishing off at Newton Aycliffe before starting off his pretty successful coaching career so far. He's currently with Middlesbrough's under-21s and doing a great job there. So, yeah, I'd just like to say welcome along to today's guest, Mark Tinkler, and hope you all enjoy the episode. And so we'll get started if you're ready, mate.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. So how are you doing today? How's everything?
Yeah, pretty good. We had a game against Chelsea on Friday, 21s. Then we had the weekend off. Then we back to work today. We've got Norwich away on Friday, so we'll travel down on Thursday to that game. So it's been a pretty busy schedule really. We've got a lot of London trips, so a lot of traveling. But yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? With these, especially going to London. I went for the first team game with my son that the other week to London and that for Chelsea.
Oh, did you
So
go down? Yeah.
yeah, we got quite a lot of the away games and that as well. So we went down for a few days. So it's
Oh, good.
busy sometimes, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll get on with the first question. So the first question I've got down here, what is your earliest memories of growing up as a kid in Bishop Auckland, and what were your hobbies and interests and that kind of thing when you were growing up?
I'm from a little village called Byers Grange, just in between Spennymoor and Bishop Auckland. As a kid, we were just probably 40. I'm 49 now, so it's a long time ago. But we were just, I had lots of woods and that around where the village was, and we used to obviously go with my mates down the woods and do all sorts of things down there in terms of like camping and just when we went probably between five and six, really, and because it was only over the road from my house. But I used to have a ball all when I used to walk around the village, and we used to play games. It was normally bottom end versus the top end, so we used to have good competitive games against them. So yeah, I was kind of into sport and football. Um, and you go down the woods and you do all sorts of things as a young boy. I think obviously times have changed now where the kids don't do so much of that. They don't obviously a lot of there's probably around the consoles and playing on the PlayStations and stuff like that, which has changed from my day as a kid. But yeah, I had a fantastic upbringing as a young lad and really enjoyed my time growing up in a little village.
Yeah, like you say, it was a different time. I'm a similar sort of age to yourself, so I know like the kinds of things that there wasn't really a lot about for kids in them days, really, was there? So it was just trying to find things to do, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you always found something to do. Whether it was football or, like I say, go down the woods or down the river, and we always kept busy and got up sometimes a little bit of mischief. But most of the time, yeah, it was a really enjoyable time as a young lad down by his green.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, then did you always have ambitions to be a footballer? Or was there anything else that you wanted to do like in the future?
No, like I said, I started playing when I was 5 or 6, and we used to play gates in the front street. So there was obviously the houses opposite each other, and we used to play gates 2v2s, 1v1s till late at night, until our mums or dad shouted us in under the street lights. Some nights when it started getting dark, and that's all I've ever known really. Play football since I was a kid, and obviously it's spiraled from there. Playing from a school, district, county, and then thing and schoolboys at 15. Yeah, so then it just progressed from there really. So I was very fortunate, very um obviously my mates at the time loved football as well. So we used to play football quite a lot and go and watch lots of games. But yeah, I used to play for little I used to obviously played for the school and played for the Sunday League team called, I was at Chester Street actually for a bit. Byers Green didn't have a team then, but Byers Green, a couple of years later, they started a grassroots team. So I came back to the village when I was 14, 15 and played for them for a couple of years. But in the meantime, I was going to clubs on trial. Obviously, in them days, there was a lot of scouts came to games to watch the grassroots, especially on a Sunday. And yeah, it kind of it propelled from there really. And then going to trials in the summer holidays, different clubs. So my 6 weeks holiday was basically spend getting on a train on a Monday, coming back on a Friday, then having the weekend at home and going again on the Monday to another club really.
Yeah.
But I love football and I love playing the game. So it wasn't something I didn't like. I love going to these clubs and playing football really.
Yeah, that always makes it easier, doesn't it? So, do you remember your first ever football coach then?
My first ever coach I don't. Well, I know. Obviously, when I was a kid at school, we had obviously the school teachers used to do the school. But when I went to Spennymoor Comprehensive when I was 11 and 12, Dave Parnaby was the school teacher then. So Dave was the PE teacher. Obviously, Dave was academy manager at Middlesbrough for 20 years. Did a fantastic job, and so I've known Dave a long time. So Dave was my school teacher, and obviously when I come to work for Middlesbrough, he was academy manager at the time. So yeah, probably Dave was the one I related to most growing up as a kid and around football.
Yeah, and what was the team you supported when you grew up then? Was it Sunderland?
Yeah, I was a Sunderland fan, but we used to go and my mates used to go and watch. I used to go and watch Newcastle as well or Middlesbrough. Depending who was. Sorry, I just got to call it. Um, yeah, to depend who was at home. I used to go and watch Sunderland was my team, but then if Newcastle Sunderland were away and Newcastle were home, I used to go with mates to watch Newcastle or I used to go and watch Middlesbrough sometimes as well. So we had quite a mixed bunch of mates who supported different teams. So I used to go and watch football while it was Sunderland or Newcastle or Middlesbrough on a Saturday or Tuesday night. So I used to watch quite a lot of football as a kid. But yeah, Sunderland was my team as a young lad.
Yeah, so was there any team that you sort of watched when you were growing up that you would like to have played for?
Um, God, you look at the big teams at the time was obviously like Liverpool were winning, really successful, and obviously you got the Uniteds and stuff. And you always wanted to play for the best team in the country, and obviously play for your national team and play in FA Cup finals. It wasn't, I think, in my day, it was all about the football. It wasn't about everything that came with it. So that you wanted to play in the top flight, you wanted to play for your country, and you wanted to play in FA Cup finals or League Cup finals at Wembley. And it wasn't about the finances or the big hours or the big cars. It was just generally about playing football and playing at the highest level you possibly could. And I was fortunate to bring the schoolboys to play at Wembley a couple of times. But yeah, and it was yeah. So it was like I said, I just loved playing the game. It wasn't about all the other external stuff that can't come with being a footballer now. It was all about the love of playing football, really.
Yeah, like you said, it was a different time, wasn't it? So who was your idol growing up?
I love watching Glenn Hoddle. Obviously, when he was at Tottenham, he was a special player. Obviously, I didn't see much of him, but when he played, because I was a midfielder at the time, and the way he played the game, how the quality he had with the ball, and his passing range was something special. So I enjoy watching clips of Glenn Hoddle at the time.
Yeah. And can you remember the first game you went to watch, like as a fan?
You know what? I can't. So long ago. I went with my dad. My dad took us to a Sunderland game when I was a young lad. I can't remember how old I was, but yeah, it kind of stuck with us from there really, and I just followed Sunderland. Yeah, I was really young when he took us, but I think when you go to these, obviously at the time with big stadiums, and just influences you, and you just got you get that involved in it, and you watch it, and you're there, and the fans are singing, and the game's going there. It was just yeah something special, which all I think still all young kids go when they go with the dads or with the mums or with the brothers or sisters. They go to these big stadiums, and it's quite it's quite uplifting, really, when you walk into these big stadiums these days.
Yeah, especially when you say you've got like a full house and it's a good atmosphere and things. It's that buzz, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that atmosphere is at the time, and obviously the fans singing it. It's something special, and I think it's something that we've got to appreciate the fans who spend the money to go to the games, whether they're home or away, and they put a lot of the finances into watching their team week in week out, and I think it's important we all show the appreciation for them, and after whether you win or lose or draw, you go and show that appreciation to them.
Yeah. So like going back to when you were sort of just start playing football yourself, like when was it you first heard of like Leeds United's interest? Was it like bringing you into the academy when you were younger?
Yeah, like I said, I was fortunate. A lot of clubs at the time wanted to sign me. Obviously, I was playing for England. I was captain of England schoolboys at the time, so you get quite a lot of focus on you, and clubs were obviously speaking to my parents and wanting us to go down on trial and sign us and stuff. So yeah, I went to Leeds, and the coach at the time was Dick Bate. He was under 18 coach, and Dick was a really good coach, but went on to be a really cool, top class coach educator. Worked for the FA for a lot of years, but as a coach for me, he was fantastic. And I just went down. It just felt right. I think obviously I went to a few clubs, but I went to Leeds United, and it just felt right. The surroundings, obviously speaking to Dick, and I think that's the place I wanted to go and try and make a career in the game, really.
Yeah, and that sort of time when at Leeds they had some good players coming through the academy, and obviously you were a part of quite a very successful youth winning cup. Didn't you? I think he's won the cup, didn't he? As against Man United over two legs, the final, I
Yeah, we
believe.
did. Yeah, obviously at the time they had obviously Gary Speed and David Batty who come through the academy, and one or two others. And hopefully you wanted to do that yourself as a young player. And that year we won there for Youth Cup against United. Obviously they had a very good team. They had Bex and Butty and Scholesy and two Nevs. There's some really top young players really who went on to have unbelievable careers. And yeah, we beat them at Old Trafford 2-0, and we brought it back to Ellen Road and we beat them 2-1. So yeah, we had a successful couple of games against United and managed to win their FA Youth Cup, which was great for the club. It was the first time Leeds had won their FA Youth Cup. So yeah, it was a fantastic occasion for the whole club.
Yeah, I can well imagine. Yeah. So, can you remember when you signed your first pro contract then, and like how did it go? Did you have an agent, or was it back then? Was it like your parents who dealt
Yeah,
with
it was
it?
my parents. My Dave Parnby helped a little bit coming down. Obviously speaking to Al Wilkinson was the manager at the time, and I think when I first signed, I got offered like a pro straight away. So you can turn professional when you're 17. So I only did, I think, probably 3 or 4 months as a YT, as an apprenticeship. Then I turned professional when I was 17, and I think I signed a 3-year deal at the time. So yeah, so that was obviously special time for me and my family.
Yeah, I was just looking sort of when I was doing my research and things. I seen that you made your debut in it was about April '93. It was in Premier League. Just I think that was the first season in the Premier League, wasn't it? It was away to Sheffield United at Bramall Lane.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and yeah, I think we got beat 2-1. I think Brian Dean was playing with Sheffield United at the time, and obviously he had to come to Leeds, and he's a mate of mine, Brian. Yeah, I was 18. I made my debut at 18, and the home debut was a Saturday against Blackburn, which we managed to win 5-2. Gordon Strachan scored that trick for us. And I played with his son at Harlepool, so it shows how old I was then. Yeah, so again, it was fantastic for me and for my family to the 18-year-old to go out and make a debut in the Premier League was something special for me.
Yeah, I was
And
just
obviously
looking at. Sorry, go on.
walking out at Ellen Road and for my home debut and in front of them fans. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it was great.
yeah, it's a like old sort of iconic sort of stadium, isn't it? I've been there watching my like obviously watching Middlesbrough there a few times. It's a great stadium. It's always got a good atmosphere as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's fantastic. When you come out, the song they singing, and it does give you goosebumps every time I used to walk out on Ellen Road. So yeah, it was a fantastic time.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the players who actually played in that game when you made your debut with some obviously top players who went on to have a great careers and things like you mentioned, like Gary Speed, Gordon Strachan, Gary McAllister, was another one, and even Sheffield United, see with Brian Dean and people like that. So it was
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, Gary Mack was he was a top midfielder, similar, and probably you put him in the not as high as Glenn Hoddle, but kind of in the same Glenn Hoddle mold. He was a very technical midfielder, great passer of the ball, could score great goals. Yeah, and Speedo and obviously Bats, and I think the following season Eric Cantona came into the squad and propelled us to another level where we went on and won the league. So yeah, the club had some fantastic players, and obviously previous to that they were renowned for the top players that they had over the years. Obviously the Bremners, the John Charles, and them sort of players. Obviously the Eddie Greys and Frank Greys, and so yeah, they've had some fantastic players over the years, um, and I was lucky and fortunate to obviously play in the first team.
yeah, yeah. So also I was looking at, I think you had about 4 years in total roughly in the first team before moving up to York. But didn't your spell there get disrupted by quite a bad injury? Was it an ankle injury you had?
Yeah, I was there from 16 to 21, 22, I think, when I left. Yeah, it was the following season actually. We'd after I made my debut, we obviously won the FA Cup. We won the European Championships with England 18s, and it was at Old Trafford. We playing my night in a reserve game at Old Trafford, and I went no further. I came down, and my ankle snapped, and I was out for probably 6 or 7 months. I had pins put it back in my ankle. I came back, and obviously I was in and out of the squad and off the bench, and made some appearances from the start. But I don't know whether I'd have been successful in the Premier League if I had an injury, or you never. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, so you can never tell. But that's football. You have a bad injury, and I think these days obviously there's a lot more education, a lot more knowledge around coming back from injuries, and so yeah, that was it. Howard Wilkinson left. George Graham come in. George Graham didn't fancy us as a player, which is football. Some managers like it, some managers don't. So yeah, I signed for York City. I think they paid a bit of money for us, and I went there for a couple of seasons really, just to reignite my career and start playing in a good league again.
Yeah. So who was the manager that signed you at York then?
Brian Little. He has a
Oh,
brother called Alan. Alan was manager of
yeah,
Aston
yeah,
Villa, but Brian was at York for a few years. Really good guy, Brian. Good manager, good motivator. Yeah, so I enjoyed working with Brian. Then obviously he left, and he got the South End job, and he took us out to South End with him when he left to go down there.
yeah. I was just looking like your first season. I think you played in nearly all the league games. I think something like 44 or 46, and you became quite a key player there. And then you mentioned you moved on. But how did you view your overall time at the club?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed York. It was a fantastic club, really well run. I was down last week actually. They invited us down to the game, and yeah, it's like I say, it was a Bootham Crescent, like a lot of obviously they changed stadiums now, but a lot of history at the time. And I enjoyed playing football again. I enjoyed going there and playing the games and playing competitive league. And um, I got sent off. I got sent off 3 times and booed 12 times in one season, so I was banned for quite a
Yeah,
lot of one season. But we had to go to Man City and get a point last game of the season. I can't remember what year it was. Anyway, we got beat 3-0, but we were still staying up because Wickham weren't winning. And yeah, Wickham scored the 94th minute to send us down, so we got relegated into League Two. So yeah, but that was a disappointing time and moment for me. But I think overall, I enjoyed playing at York and met some fantastic people and some fantastic players really.
yeah. And then you mentioned like you moved on to Southend. I think it was around about 99 for about £40,000. Was it the same? Did you say it was Alan Little who took
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Alan took us there. Alan left, and David Webb come in. David Webb
Yeah,
obviously was at Chelsea Webby for a long time, and I got along with David pretty well. He played us every week, but I think the finances weren't great at the club, and they had to try and get rid of some players and of the high earning players. So a few of the North lads who were down, he said that obviously we weren't going to be part of the plans because of the financially they couldn't do it. So obviously then Harlepool came in, and Chris Turner spoke to Chris, and Chris took us up to Harlepool, and I had some fantastic years at Harlepool. Really good.
Yeah, just before I think didn't you get injured at Southend? I read somewhere that you fell off a ladder or something. It says. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just is
Oh,
that
that was it. Yeah, I did. I done my knee. I hurt my knee. I slipped down a ladder. I was doing something at home, and I slipped down a ladder, and I done my knee. I was out for a few months with that. But yes, I enjoyed Southend. It was a lovely club. Obviously, quite away from my home. And I had my daughter at home at the time, so obviously I missed my daughter. So it was probably best that I came home at that time, and obviously signed for Hartlepool, which is kind of near to where I live, really.
yeah? So that was pretty much my next question, really. So did you feel that was the right time? Obviously, moving back to the northeast, but how did that move come about then?
Just speaking to David, the manager Webby just said, "Look, we need to move you on because financially they can't. They need to get wages off the books." So I went and spoke to Chris, and I think they paid a little bit of money for us, and so I ended up going to Hartlepool, and yeah, I was 7 years at Hartlepool. We had a couple of promotions. I think it was four playoffs. Yeah, so we had a really successful spell at the time when I was at the club, which was great, really fantastic time. Met some fantastic people, players who we've got to still keep in touch with now. We've got a group chat. So we very close over them 7 years. And the lads were great, and all the staff that worked at the club over that period.
Yeah, it was a good spell there, and obviously you established yourself in the team pretty quickly. I was looking at some of the players there, obviously the likes of Paul Stevenson and Tommy Miller, that you kind of in the midfield were you there. Obviously, you got into the playoffs as well, 2001-2. You just missed out, I think, didn't you, on promotion that season? But did that sort of give you an extra motivation to go on and do one better the season after?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think we got knocked out on penalties once, and then I think we won. We beat Tranmere on penalties. Um, I think we got beat up Bristol City in one semi-final, and I think we got promoted last game of the season at Rushton and Diamonds, where we got promoted. But the following season, after we got into League One, we had two successful years where we got made the playoffs twice. Got the playoff final. I think we were 15 minutes off getting promoted to the Championship. Then I think we've got a man sent off, and we conceded two late goals. That was at Cardiff Stadium. Yeah, so the memories and the occasions and the times and the people I met there was fantastic. And like I say, we're still really good mates now, and we still meet up every now and then for a little get together.
Yeah, I've spoken to some of the ex-players as well, like the likes of Dimmy and Tommy Miller as well, about that sort of period, and it was quite a good period for the club as well, wasn't it? Like you said there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I played with Tommy. Tommy left, I think, after one or two seasons when I was there. I still speak to Tommy today, and I think he went to Sheffield Wednesday, I think. Um, Obviously, Dimmy have a fantastic career when he at Hartlepool. Then he obviously came to Middlesbrough and was really successful. Yeah, so they're all good lads, and obviously went on to really good things them too. But we had likes of Richie Humphries, who was obviously at Sheffield Wednesday, come. Then we had obviously Darrell Clark, and Mickey Badham was already there. Mickey obviously played for Middlesbrough as a kid. So yeah, we had a good collection of older players, middle-aged players, and young players who still had that real drive and that commitment to try and be successful and want to achieve something in the careers. And thankfully, we managed to get a couple of promotions and play in big games. And yeah, it was, like I say, it was a fantastic time.
Yeah, I seen that you scored a hat trick in one of the games as well. I think it was a 4-3 win against Wrexham. Did you ever score a hat trick before or after that?
No, I just only at school. That was me own. That was me. I was playing midfield at the time, and yeah, it was. I think it was, yeah, I think they came back. They nearly come back. I think we were winning 4-1 at the time, and they nearly come back and got back in the game. But yeah, it was the I think 8-1 from 25 yards, and I bent one in. Then I got a little side footer in the bottom corner. Yeah, and it was the first Saturday. I've still got the ball at home.
Yeah, they all count,
So
don't
that's
they?
all sign. Yeah, they do. Yeah.